Actually, it took me about 5 minutes to get that meme when someone sent it to me, that joke.
Happy holiday.
This year Thanksgiving we're going to say Hallel with the bracha. And I was like, no, we're not. I got all fired up. I got more upset than I got, and then I was like, oh. Right.
Kwanzaa is on Hanukkah. Legit.
Really?
Lit.
We overlap?
Legit. Yeah.
How lit? Because it's Hanukkah.
I'm finally being Yaitse. I'm finally being Yaitse and all the deis in my family then. All right. So, Mekayim Shein Hanashim Mishtad Aliyah Ish is where we ended off. Ooh, we're late. And Mekayim Shein Hanashim Mishtad Aliyah Ish is where we ended off. Let's jump in. We're going to even tie in a little bit of maybe Parsha. Okay, Afu Ra Gilgailes. Afu Ra Gilgailes. If you ever saw the art scroll, the kids' Perkei Avos, it's a beautiful picture. There's a lot of colors in that water. I don't understand why there's so many colors. Afu Ra Gilgailes Achash Tzafal Pnei Amayim Amala. And Hillel, who, I don't know if he made it a habit to speak to random skulls that he saw rolling around in the forest while he was hanging out. But he said it, Al da'ateft atfuch, because you drowned. And those who drown you will be drowned. That's what he said to the skull. But it's what the skull said back that's very interesting. No, okay, no, the Mishnah stops there. Skull never responds. Not that type of Mishnah. No, it's okay. It's not that crazy. You could totally see a Gadata where then the skull said back to him, Hillel, Hillel. Okay, that didn't happen though in this Mishnah. It was a one way conversation where Hillel was saying to the Gilgailes, he said, because you drowned others, you were drowned. Because you drowned others, you were drowned. And because they drowned you, they're going to be drowned. Now, what was Hillel trying to say? Even more, it's saying good. Zevirov is always saying good.
If you deserved it, right, and someone that happened to you, you still can punish people that have to do it.
Ooh, now I'm liking it. Why does this make sense? If what we're saying is al da'ateft atfuch, because you drowned others, you got drowned, and the ones who drowned you, they themselves are going to be drowned. Why does that make sense? It should end at some point. This guy deserves to have been drowned. He killed someone. He drowned someone.
That's what it means.
So an eye for an eye, ayin tahayin, and we should stop the process at some point. No, we're not going to get to that today, but that is a good point. Well, what about Bezin? Okay. Right, Bezin would have the out. Says the Maharal over here. There's a few points that Hillel was trying to make. You have to remember, let's just re-up. What is Perkei Avos? What are we doing over the course of the entire Masechet Avot? We are quoting and bringing down the things, the stances that the Tanaim held very strongly, that they felt. These are the points, these are the stages that you need to stand on in order to become the best version of yourself. Most of us have forgotten this idea, even the concept of becoming the best version of ourselves. We just want to squeak by. We just want to get by. As long as I don't get in trouble and no one notices me, I'm doing great. As long as I could just slide and fly under the radar, I'm okay. The entire Masechet Avot is telling us, you're wrong. There is such an incredible life to live if you stop selling yourself short. If you stop just trying to be alive. Why do you think every addict falls into the throes of addiction? I'm just using that as an example. They're trying to numb some sort of pain. They're just trying to stop feeling certain things. And most of us, our pursuit in life is just not to feel a certain way. When we want to be healthy, even physically, we want to be healthy so that we don't die of sickness. It's all fear-based. When I want to look good, it's because I don't want to look bad. It's not because of any sort of pride within inside of myself to present myself properly. That's why there seems to be a dichotomy in Torah and Halacha. When we say that a Talmid Chacham has to be dressed very well, has to be clean, has to be put together, and we say, why are we focusing so much on the physical? It's not that we're focusing on the physical. It's we're saying that's how he is supposed to be feeling about himself. That I represent something. That something is not just a Rabbanu Shalom and from God and Torah. That's all true. But it's me. There's plenty of people representing that. I'm representing me. And me is worth it. Me is important. The whole Purkei Avos is about representing me. What do I stand for? It's not just about squeaking by in life. It's about standing for something. And when we constantly are going to ask ourselves, what do I stand for? We always come to certain roadblocks. We always have an excuse. I'm too young, I'm too old. I'm too busy, I'm too tired. We always have an excuse. Constantly, we have an excuse. And that's the best we can hope for, is a good enough excuse. If I have a good enough excuse, this is where the victim mentality that we've developed lately comes from. If I have a good enough excuse, if I'm enough of a victim, I don't have to actually do anything. I just get to be a victim. And because I'm a victim of life's tragedies, I can get attention, I could get love, I could get appreciation, I could get acceptance, I could get. I never actually have to work or do anything. Says Hillel. Right before that, when I meet a guy, when we have somebody who says, I don't davening, tefillin, I don't, what is he really saying? Tzitzis, what is he really saying? Oh, it's uncomfortable. I don't like to. Sensory. Yeah, I'm sensory. I can't. Tefillin, it stops all the blood in my arm. This is the same guy who mamash sat down and bikvius sat down and really forced himself to enjoy cigarettes, to enjoy vaping. He didn't like it the first 10 times. Like, it really took a dedication to it. And then finally, now I went straight from I can't stand it to I can't live without it. I've been saying for years I can't live without it, even though I was coughing up a lung. You know that kid in 7th grade? And he's like, I smoke all the time. And he started going, you're like, buddy, what are you doing to that cigarette? Just relax a little bit. Right? No one liked it. No one ever liked it. But because we sat there hammering away, making sure that I become addicted to it. My tefillin for 10 minutes a day, my arm's going to fall off. That's the real reason? Is it not, though? That's the real problem? The jacket? I could wear a hoodie in 95-degree weather, in Six Flags on Chalamoid with what do you call it? That I could do because it says Rick and Morty on it. That I could do. That I could do. I'm not uncomfortable. Everything's fine. But to wear a jacket during davening, right? Minutes after we're like this. No, it's on. I don't know what you're from. It's on. Why do we struggle in this way? And the idea is very simple, and it's really what Hillel is going to bring up right now. We don't think it matters. If I really thought that that it mattered to Hashem for me to put on my tefillin or not, of course I'd put it on. With Besimcha, I'd put it on. Now, what does it mean I don't think it matters? I don't think I matter. Yeah. If the Gadol Hadar didn't put on his tefillin one day, I'd be like, what are you doing? You matter. You're important. Everyone's relying on you. You have to put on your tefillin. But you don't understand, I'm a nobody. It doesn't matter if I put on my tefillin. That's the struggle. I don't feel I matter. When you see someone who feels that they matter, I promise you, look around you. And I'm using Frumkeit and mitzvahs as an example, but you could do this with anything. When you see a person who feels like they don't matter, they come up with excuses not to do anything because nothing matters because I don't matter. When you, on the contrast, see a person who feels like they can make a difference and they matter, they don't stop doing things. They will try anything to do stuff, to make a difference, because they matter. Says Hillel. What's Hillel saying? Al dat fechat fuch. You drowned someone. You drowned someone because you thought it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I could get away with this. Masaif, the ones who drowned you, so therefore you drowned. You didn't realize you weren't just killing that guy, you were killing yourself also. Every action has an equal or greater reaction. The thing I did is going to reverberate, it's going to echo. I don't have a choice. And if I do nothing, that also echoes. That also echoes. So if I sit there, right? If I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm giving up. I'm just going to play video games in my room all day. That matters. You might think it's just me. Why does anyone care? Because you're not doing something else that can make such a huge difference in this world. When one guy doesn't show up to the basketball game, that matters. And it doesn't matter if you're playing or not playing. That matters also. But if you're just there to lend support, it all matters. What we do, it starts a chain of events. Hillel was saying to him, you could have stopped. This is what the Maharal says. You could have stopped it. You could have been the one who stopped this chain of events from happening. You could have been the one, and you didn't. I was reading a biography about Bruce Lee. Thank you for coming. No. I was reading, that's what it was called. I think I'm going to write a biography called Thank You for Coming. I just love that line. Okay, I'm reading a biography about Bruce Lee, and they said Bruce Lee one time, he went, after his father passed away, he went back to China, and China. And he, no.
Korea, karate, Chinese, Japanese.
Yeah, but he was Kung Fu. Yeah, it's Chinese. And he went back home, and he saw his Rebbe, his Sifu, right? Which, no, Kung Fu Panda did not invent that word. That's what it means. It's his master. It's his dude. And he went back to see him, and he said to him, he's like, I've been having these nightmares. Ever since my father passed away, I've had these nightmares that this demon shows up, and he's chasing me and chasing me and chasing me. He says, what does it mean? And the Sifu said to him, he said, that's your inheritance. And he said, what are you talking about? He said, your father told me he used to have the same nightmares of a demon showing up and chasing him and chasing him and chasing him. He said, your father never fought the demon. Now it's yours. And Bruce Lee said to him, what if I choose not to fight the demon? He said, then you're going to do exactly what your father did. And you're going to give it over as an inheritance to your child, and his child, and his child, and his child. The work we don't do on ourselves, the things that we don't grow in, it doesn't just stop. We don't just grow out of it. We give it over as an inheritance to the next generation. According to the book, yeah. It's amazing when you get to write your own, review about yourself. But not only that, he beat him with nunchucks. It was amazing. So So, the fights we don't do are the fights that we give over to our children. What's the problem? What stops us? What's holding us back? What's the resistance from believing in ourselves enough to realize that if we drown, we're going to be drowned, and if we and then we keep going, because now the one who drowned us is going to drown. If we don't stop the process from happening, it doesn't stop. What stops us from getting the courage to stop the process in our life? The problem is, we believe our own stories. We've collected these little pieces of information, whether it was someone who told us that we're this or someone that, we collected all these pieces of information. We failed a test, we did bad in this school, we did bad here, we did this, and we define ourselves by those things. We create this story. So I want to tell you something that just happened this past Shabbos. Literally this past Shabbos. I was in Chicago, little Chicago trip, and they were very nice to me. They brought me out for a whole Shabbos for this Upward, not some. I'll say it. I don't care. Upward Community, the Upward Community, formerly Madrigos, is an unbelievable organization that they have out there in Chicago. And they brought me. They were doing a girls' Shabbaton, and they brought me to speak. And they were really. I knew it's important to the story. I was going to totally skip it. I was going to totally skip that piece of information, but it happens to be important to the story. I was like, how can I get away with saying the words girls' Shabbaton and just nothing happened? I'm like, maybe they don't realize I'm saying a story. No, it's important that it's a girls' Shabbaton. You'll find out why in a minute. Maybe they won't realize I'm saying a story yet, so they weren't listening yet, but I lost. Okay. Right. So I go on the thing, and first they tell me, we might, this is exactly what they said. They're like, I don't know how strict about minyan you are. I'm like, a little bit. The whole rabbi before my name thing, sort of gets me involved. And they're like, but there might not be a minyan. There's going to be a few men, might not be a minyan. Closest minyan is about a 45-minute walk. So I was like, okay, so we'll have to do the sleeping in. Because I was like, all right, so I'll have to do the 45-minute walk. I get off of the plane in Chicago, and it was blistering. It was so cold. I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing this 45-minute walk. Baruch Hashem, I show up to the hotel, and they have exactly 10 men. It's perfect. Now, they were very nice to me. They brought me out for a whole Shabbos, and they only asked me to speak twice, which is like, it's like, if my wife listens to my speeches, I wouldn't say this, but it's like a little vacation. I go to a hotel for Shabbos. I only have to speak once Friday night at like 7 p.m.
Say the same thing the next day also?
What? Yeah, no, yeah. At 7 p.m. I get to sleep at 7 p.m. I could sleep for whatever, and then the next night, also right before Shabbos, it was an amazing situation for me. I loved it. So I even said to them, "Are you sure?" And they said, "Yeah." No, I said, "Okay." So I got there. There are 10 men. Right? So everyone's got to be there. 10 men. And sure enough, I felt really bad that I didn't bring my daughter with me on this Shabbos, whatever. But I have a dream while I'm there that my daughter is waking me up, and she's like, "Papa, you're late. Everyone's looking for you. You missed the davening. You missed the speech. You missed that." I'm like, "What?" And then I actually wake up, and I'm like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Wow!" I'm like, "That would have been horrible, right?" Miss davening. I'm one of 10, and the rabbi's the one who missed. And I was still feeling like shamed and embarrassed. Sure enough, I look over at the clock, and I missed mincha. And I'm 10 minutes late to my only speech. And I'm like, oh no. I jump out of bed, right? It was like, mincha was at the speech was supposed to be, I think it was like 3:45. The speech was supposed to start at about 4:15. It was like 4:25. I jump out of bed. I don't even put my socks on. I put on my shoes. I grab my suit. I wrap a tie around. My buttons are all buttoned wrong. And I bomb out. Now I'm on the 3rd floor. So I have to run down these steps. The entire time down these steps, I'm like, you idiot. They were so nice. They asked you to speak twice. You're 10 men. They made sure it was 10 men so you wouldn't have to walk. Why? Why this week? What is wrong with you? I go running out, I'm beating myself up. I come busting into the hallway, and then the worst thing happens possible. Come busting into the lobby, and the reception lady, she like looks at me, and she's giving me this look like, oh yeah, oh, so it's you. You're the one they're all going crazy looking for. And I even started blaming them on the way down. I was like, why wouldn't they knock on my door? Why wouldn't they try to wake me up? And I get down there, and she's looking at me. She's like, oh. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, yeah, it's me, okay? I don't care. And I'm sitting there. I'm so embarrassed. And then there was something about the way she was looking at me that was weird. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how in the world am I going to try to work into this speech that it's okay to have missed mincha on Shabbos and made all other 9 men miss mincha? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, mincha? I don't remember davening shacharis. And I look over, and it's 4:20 in the morning. I didn't do anything yet that day. She wasn't looking at me weird because people were looking for me. She was looking at me weird because she heard me cursing myself out halfway down the steps. For some reason, unbeknownst to her, I took the steps and not the elevator. I come falling out of over here, half wearing a jacket, half not, at 4 in the morning with my shoes half falling off of me and my tie wrapped around. And she's just looking at me like, are you okay? Is everything all right in your life? What just happened to you? I believe this story immediately that I messed up and that obviously everyone's going to know I'm a lowlife now. And that it's the most embarrassing thing. And I was so busy believing the story and beating myself up, I didn't even consider for a second that because I went to sleep way too early the night before, I was up way too early in the morning. The most logical reasoning. Sure enough, I turned back around. I went back to my room, and I missed Shacharis because I'm joking. But believing this immediate story that we have about ourselves because of these little pieces of information, and we could have had 1 million people over our lives telling us, no, you matter, what you do matters. If you show up, other people will be affected by you. We refuse to believe it because the immediate story that we have running in our head is that of a negative self-image, of a negative self-story that we keep telling ourselves. Seif metafayich, you are drowning you. And you're going to continue this process. And you're going to give this process to other people. And you can give this process to your children. And you give this process to your family. And you're going to you're going to continue this entire snowball effect unless you decide to put an end to it. And realize how great you can possibly be. How big of an effect your words, your actions, your life is going to have in this world. When you start to be able to realize that, it starts to actually happen. But you need to go first. You need to make the difference first. You need to have that happen first in order for it to keep going. Shabbat shalom, boys.